guys, welcome back to the Lounge Life Podcast. We are on episode 8. Today, we're going to be talking about lounge etiquette, something I feel like not many people talk about, kind of like these unspoken rules, these mystique rules of lounges. Are we being too pretentious or are these just plain old common sense? I'm your host Rob, and tonight with me, I have this way, I have Al.
What's going on, everybody?
And tonight we're going to dive into some lounge etiquette. Uh, but before we get into all that, what are we smoking tonight?
Well, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, which was a couple of days ago, I'm going to be smoking the Maverick from Silent Hero Cigars.
Okay.
I've been looking for a reason to try this, but this is as good a night as any.
Yeah. I already had my St. Patrick's Day stick. What was it? Monday.
Yeah,
Um, I decided to go with the Alec Bradley Black Market, the Filthy Hooligan, which is a Maduro and Candela barber pole wrapper. It's it's like one of those things like everybody kind of runs after every year. Alec Bradley puts it out. They do the
yeah,
Filthy Hooligan, which is the double wrapper barber pole, and then they have the Filthy Hooligan Shamrock, which is like the triple wrapper barber pole, which is like the Maduro, the Candela, and the Connecticut. But
yeah.
tonight I actually decided to go with the CAO, the Brasilia Gold.
Let's
And
go.
so this one's actually really nice. It is I had to look up a little bit of information on it because I haven't had this before. But
Mhm.
obviously because it's from Brazil, it's got a Brazilian wrapper on it. I couldn't find out initially which wrapper it had on it, but it has an Arapiraca wrapper on it, which is the uh darker of the two. Um and it's just got Nicaraguan guts in it. Um, so you're gonna have like a sweet spiciness, a lot of earth, a lot of coffee. So I'm really looking forward to trying this. This actually came to me in a Secret Santa swap from December. So so I'm kind of looking forward to that one. So now that we figured out what we're smoking tonight, let's get into the rapper report. And tonight's rapper report is brought to you by these guys, Valor Cigars. They make amazing, amazing accessories. Um, these guys have been so good to us. We like to bring up their product. They make these really heavy duty cutters. Like I said, this thing is built like a tank, and I cut all my cigars with it. It's sharp as hell. They're uh, out of the United States, out of Texas. And everything you buy from them, part of what you buy goes back to first responder and military charities to support our vets and our first responders. So thank you so much, guys, for believing in us and keeping us stocked with amazing, amazing things. You can find the link to their Etsy page on our link tree for our site. So go check them out. They actually had a little bit of a sale. They usually drop it, so keep an eye on their Insta pages. They will drop little hints when they're doing sales. So yeah, check them out. Valor Accessories. Um, so with that out of the way, what kind of news do you have first, Al? What do you got cooking?
Well, there is another bill introduced to exempt premium cigars from the FDA regulation. Uh, Representative Byron Donalds,
Let me guess, a
he's
Democrat.
no, he's a Republican from Florida,
Interesting.
and this is to exempt the premium
Okay.
cigars from the
Exempt them from the
FDA
tax. Gotcha,
regulations.
gotcha. Yes. All right. So
Yeah,
it
so to qualify as a premium cigar, it has to be wrapped in whole tobacco leaf.
okay.
It has to contain 100% leaf tobacco binder,
Makes
uh,
sense so
can
far.
contain at least 50% of the filler by weight, long
Okay,
filler.
gotcha.
Um, uh, okay, then four is handmade or hand rolled. No machinery used as apart from simple tools such as scissors to cut the tobacco prior to rolling. Has no filter, a non yeah, has no filter, non-tobacco tip, or non-tobacco mouthpiece. So it just has to be straight tobacco. It does not have a characterizing flavor other than tobacco. So I'm not sure what that's going to do to the infused side of the cigars, but
They should be all right.
yeah. And let's see, contains only tobacco, water, and vegetable gum with no other ingredients or additives. And lastly, weighs more than 6 pounds per thousand units.
Okay,
So, um,
interesting.
according to the story, this is the third or fourth iteration of this bill, and has not had the votes that it needs to pass. But maybe eventually it will
Yeah.
finally make its way through.
Okay. Interesting.
So what have you got?
So, so my first story is dealing with PCA. We're obviously going to get a lot of PCA stories because PCA is coming up in April. My first story has to deal with a company called Adventura, and Adventura is releasing their Captain's Collection, debuting at PCA in 2025, and it's going to include their new line, which is called the Black Fins Parlay. Now, if nobody knows anything about Adventura, Adventura is like a pirate themed ship sailing kind of cigar brand. So Adventura and McKay Cigars and Company is bringing 8 of their lines together in a new sampler that will be unveiled at the 2025 PCA trade show this next month. It's going to provide the first opportunity to smoke the Blackfins Parlay, which the company won't release until next year in 2026. The Adventura Captain's Collection contains a 5 by 52 Vitola in each of the following lines, which are their 7 current and their new one, which is the Adventura Explorer, the Navigator, the Conqueror, the Royal Return Queen's Pearls, the Royal Return King's Gold, Barbaroja's Invasion, the Blue Eyed Jack's Revenge, which was the latest one, and then the newest one, which you're not going to be able to get till next year, which is called the Blackfins Parlay. Currently, the Blackfins Parlay isn't disclosed for now, the blend, giving smokers the opportunity to try it without being steered in any particular flavor direction, which I kind of like. And the sampler is going to be on an ongoing production item, so it's going to be made available pretty regularly, they're saying. And while it will debut at PCA, it's not going to be limited to retailers to attend the show, which I know a lot of them are. Um, Pricing is going to be set at $124 a sampler, and it's set to begin shipping immediately following the trade show. So if you think about it, you're looking at what? 8 cigars, $124, like Robustos. Um, so so I would say what, 15, $16 price tag per cigar, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, about $16 a cigar. That's not bad. It feels a little
no.
weighty for me, but I've seen the packaging. It's like a really nice wooden box. So we'll see. And I think it's cool that they're putting in one of their future blends in there for next year for people to kind of get a taste of it. So, as everybody knows, if I haven't said it yet, I will be at PCA. So we're going to have a show dedicated to like a PCA recap where I'm going to come on and I'm going to chop it up with Al about, who I saw, who I talked to, who's coming out with new stuff, any of the new products. Because apparently at PCA, you leave with like a shopping bag full of stuff. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear about all of the new stuff. Um, Hopefully next year, we can both make the trip, and you know, I'll be hopefully I can contribute to that rather than just be on the receiving end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah. It's from apparently from what I hear, it's a good time. Um, I'm looking forward to kind of meeting everybody that I've only met online. So, it'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what's your next story? What do you got?
All right. Um, well, we have a cigar collaboration with an actor from my childhood who was pretty much a villain back in the day, and I'm referring to actor Martin Cove, better known as John Kreese from the
John Kreese from the Karate Kid.
Karate
Yeah.
Kid, and lately from the Cobra Kai series.
Hmm.
Um, and it is with Prodigal Son is the name of the cigar.
Okay.
It's being released in a single Vitola Toro, 6 by 52. MSRP is $14. Offered in 20 count boxes. Produced by Chico Rivas's factory.
Oh, Chico
So,
Rivas is so good.
so most of the time these actor endorsed blends, they don't tend to be the greatest, but hopefully, with Chico Rivas being behind it, uh,
Yeah.
hope maybe that'll change.
Hopefully.
It's slated to release in June,
Okay.
and it will be limited to three retailers.
Three
Um,
retailer. Okay.
Three retailers. So,
Interesting.
La
Do
Casa
we know them?
Grande
Okay.
Cigars in the Bronx, New York. Um, One of your favorite shops,
Sanj. I heard Sanj
Sanja's
is getting
Smoke
it. Yeah.
Shop
Sanj's
in
Smoke Shop
Bloomfield,
in
New
Bloomfield.
Jersey,
Yeah.
and Smoke Inn, which has multiple locations in
Which
South
is on
Florida.
and also online too. So,
Yeah.
oh, that's
So,
cool.
press release said that they hope to be widely available by fall of 25 or early of 26.
All right.
So,
That's kind of cool. When Guy Fieri did his line with Espinoza, the was it the knuckle sandwich?
yes,
It I was kind of like, we'll see how good this goes. And apparently now they've done like 6 or 7 lines now. They've done mashups with Cigar Dojo and um so we'll see how it goes. I'm glad he's starting out with one Vitola. He's not, blowing it out the box with like 3, 4 different sizes off the bat.
right.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and it's a bit of nostalgia, especially
Yeah,
for the John Kreese character, because
yeah,
a lot of the times he has
a
a
cigar.
cigar in his mouth.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Does it say anything about the blend yet or no?
it does not.
Okay.
It does not.
All right. Well, we'll look for we'll see if we can find out anything at PCA.
Absolutely.
And all right. So the last the last one that I have, and listen, we can't always be sunshine and rainbows, so we have to report the news, good or bad. Unfortunately, this is
Mhm.
not one of the better ones. We all know what kind of, you know, uh, financial times we're living in, where cost of
Mhm.
living's going up, everything's going up. We now get a notification that Artisano del Tobacco is increasing their Viva La Vida prices for 2025. It's kind of on par with a lot of other cigar manufacturers that have announced price increases for the first quarter of this year. It's going to go into effect April 15th. The original Viva La Vida line will have its first price increase in 6 years. Artesano del Tobacco, the parent company of the brand, says that it will increase the prices of the original line by 5%. The increases won't affect the Viva La Vida fifth anniversary line or the El Pulpo lines, which is good. The El Pulpo line is their, a little more expensive line, so it's going to kind of bring everything up to, the same price line. Um, and Billy and Gus said this decision was not made lightly. Said the company in press release, we understand the importance of cost stability for our consumers. However, rising production costs and maintaining high quality and reliability that our customers expect from us necessitates this adjustment. I get it. You're also sourcing all your tobacco from AJ Fernandez, and AJ Fernandez is going up as well. So it doesn't surprise me that they also had to um, announce their a price increase to kind of be online with everybody else and not get, cut into their profits. Um, it says cigar companies typically adjust their prices once per year, with most companies choosing to do it in the first quarter of the year. And there was a whole list of companies that have already announced that they're doing price increases. We're not going to get into that because it's just not worth it at this point. But just to let you know, there are other companies that have announced price increases for the first quarter of this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, that as I scroll through Half Wheel, and I try to do it at least twice, 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah,
There's
I do
several
mine at least
different.
once a day,
I
honestly.
gotcha. I mean, there's been several, just such and such company announces price increase for
Yeah,
2025, and
yeah.
um, it's with everything else rising but our salaries. Um, that's
Isn't that the truth?
I guess that's the way it's always been.
Yeah,
But we're still going to pay to play, and I think they know that. So
of
we
course.
just won't be able to play as much.
Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about buying, so I got plenty of cigars at this point.
That's
I mean,
right.
I like to buy new stuff that comes out, but uh I think I'm okay. I got a lot of stuff aging, as it were. Um,
Gotcha.
so yeah, so that's been our news, which is brought to you by Valor Accessories. Guys, honestly, go check them out. Check out the link for their Etsy page on our Instagram. It's on our link tree. Go check them out. Fantastic, fantastic guys. American made. You know, you can't. We're all pushing this American made stuff right now. So, uh,
Yes.
go and do it. Go and do it. So let's see. What do we have next? What's in the ashtray? And what's in the ashtray is brought to you by Bullets and Brave. Al, why don't you tell us a little bit about Bullets and Brave?
Bullets and Brave is a American company out of the New York area. They are maker of metal cigar stands that are customizable with your logo. I know he's done stuff for us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's done stuff for Smoking Sounds. He had done stands for the North Georgia Cigar Festival. Um, so and he can do anything for you. So check out
He
Nick.
did. He did these cups for us.
Yes, he did the cups. I've seen he worked on some front pocket ridge style wallets.
Nice.
Um, so he's having some limited drops this year. So be sure
Okay.
to check him out and and contact him. I mean, like I said, he can do just about anything your mind can come up with.
He's got an Insta page as well. His Instagram link is also on our link tree, so check him out. Just he's a nice guy. Just talk to him. You guys can figure it out. Honestly, another American made product. We love it. So we try to push all American.
Absolutely,
We try to push all American products.
for
So
sure.
so Al, what's in the ashtray?
So I had the privilege of having a Liga Privada H99.
Okay, interesting.
It's medium plus to full cigar. Um, More medium uh, to my palate.
Okay,
The wrapper is a hybrid Corojo seed grown in the Connecticut River Valley. The
okay,
binder is Mexican San Andreas and fillers from Honduras, Nicaragua, and Pennsylvania.
interesting.
So, it has flavor notes of pepper, um, savory chocolate,
Yeah.
um, and I kind of got a floral note. Um,
Okay.
that's one of the only ones that I've really picked up that floral note on.
Yeah.
Um, and the Liga Privada line is a little bit higher price point line, but
Yeah, it's the high end of Drew Estate.
I think it's worth every penny.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Ligas are good. The Liga Privada series is really good. It is the higher end of the Drew Estate line. Um, they're fantastic cigars. They definitely aren't what they used to be, but they're still really a really good cigar.
Most definitely. So, what stood out to you?
So I had one of our buddies of the show, who we've probably talked about 100 times already. John Huber sent me a package the other day, um, and kind of giving me a little sneak peek at what the first quarter of 2025 was. So he sent me a couple of Paniolos, the Paniolo X, which they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Um, the Bulldozer, which is the bigger box press Juarez, and then this next cigar, which I had an amazing experience with, and that's the Four Kicks Mule Kick limited edition for this year. And it's interesting. So the Four Kicks Mule Kick is usually the same blend um, every year brought it out. But for only the second time since it's been released in 2012, the blend has actually deviated entirely from what the traditional Mule Kick is. Um, it's got it's a really bold, balanced cigar, fantastic. Um, John said that when we were evaluating potential new blends last year, one blend from Casa Carrillo, because a lot
Mhm.
of his blends comes from um, the Carrillo factory. It said one blend from Casa Carrillo really stood out to me. It said the blend really connected with my palate. It had body complexity, impeccable balance, and ultimately they decided that it needed to become a part of the Mule Kick lineage. Um, so this year's Mule Kick is a Mexican San Andreas binder with filler tobaccos from Esteli and Jalapa, and finished with a dark Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, which was fermented for 18 months and then aged an additional 3 years. Um, so it's a medium to full cigar. Um, it's got a really nice flavor profile. So I smoked it, and it almost reminded me like the top notes really reminded me of like a creme brulee. Now, if you've had a really nice creme brulee, it like has that cream and the vanilla and the caramel, and
Mhm.
literally like eating dessert. I mean, the it has the undertones of normally what you would get with like a Connecticut broadleaf and a San Andreas. You'll have the pepper, you have the earth, you have the sweetness, you have the leather, but those really sweet top notes, the vanilla and the caramel, were like out of this world. I think honestly, this is their best mule kick they've ever done, and it's by far the best one they've ever done, I think. So I ended up smoking the two that he sent me and went on and bought a box because I enjoyed it that much. If you see my Instagram, I actually bought a box of
Mhm.
um the mule kick for this year and the bulldozer for this year, which is the Juarez, because I
Mhm.
just enjoyed them immensely. The Juarez again, that's the one that's like that's like coffee based.
Yeah.
Um, but this one was more, it was so dessert like. It was fantastic. I couldn't say no to a box of this. And um honestly, I should have bought 2 boxes because they only come in boxes of 10. So the initial production, the total production, sorry, not initial production. It is a limited edition. So it is limited to 2,500 10 count boxes, which is a significant amount more than what they initially started out the mule kick with. So you're looking at 25,000 cigars. They're manufactured at Casa Carrillo in Santiago in the DR. Um, and if you could find it, absolutely go and try it. Like I said, absolutely blew me away. A fantastic, fantastic cigar. Thanks, John. I'm looking forward to sitting down, chopping it up with you at PCA. Um, he sent me a package. Like I said, it had a couple different sticks in it, new hat. Um, and his hat game is fantastic as well. We all know that. We've seen that. Um, so thanks, John. You're amazing. Thank you for being such a great friend to this channel. Um, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.
Well, I know that, and I've heard him actually say that some people may say that they're a hat company that makes cigars rather than a cigar company that makes hats.
You
So,
never know. You
but
never know.
um, uh, in that mule kick uh, conversation, I've actually had the opportunity to get my hands on a couple of the mule kick LEs from, or well, I guess all of the mule kicks are limited,
Mhm.
but from 2022.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I've got to go
You
pick
holding
up a
out on a
few.
brother, huh?
No, no, I got you one too.
All right. All right.
So yeah, one of my local shops seems to have a nice little back stock
I
of
love that. I love when you find a
so
shop that has a really nice, like aged selection of stuff. Is
yeah,
if this is the same guy that he's been getting you the Las Calaveras from like 2019, 2020, 2021.
it's the same
I
one.
I love that. That's amazing. And it's a shame that that gentleman doesn't have more traffic through the door, that those are gone because those are absolute gems, honestly.
That is for sure. And
You want to give a little
so
shout you want to give a little shout out to the to to your friend, give him a little traffic through the door.
well, it's my home lounge of Spring Street Cigars, South Haven. So um they have a large selection of, I mean, they're our local Davidoff retailer.
Okay, cool.
But I mean, they have Tatawahe, they have a great selection of Drew Estate, of
Nice.
JC Newman, of Camacho, uh Rocky Patel, uh Perdomo, Crux, Punch. I mean,
Okay, so they have a nice
Caldwell.
selection.
They have a excellent selection, and
Nice.
I mean, they've got Tatiana's for the infused guys and
Yeah.
acids, and they have house blends. So they have a great select. They also have pipe tobaccos and
Okay, that's
pipes
cool.
and all the accessories. And
Awesome.
um, I just wish the cost to be a member wasn't so high. But you know,
Yeah, I get
they have
it.
to do what they have to do to keep the money coming in. So,
Yeah, I got you.
but I love that place. You know, I've recorded there a few times. Actually, after the last time we recorded, guys came in and said, "Hey, man, I saw you over here. You look like you were in the zone, and just wanted to say, hey, are you doing a podcast or recording
That's
for a
awesome.
YouTube channel?" And you know, I was able to tell him about our stuff. So,
That's great. That's cool, man.
um,
I love it. Yeah, people come up to me all the time after I'm done recording. Like, "Oh, what are
yeah,
you doing? You recording?" And yeah. No, man, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, so, they also, they have beer on tap, and, so it's a nice little place, and they're really cool. Some of them are there just to unwind and get a little peace, and, like I said, big groups come in all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
nice.
we actually stopped in at lunchtime one day, and, there were guys around the table with their laptops open, pecking away, just,
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome.
eh, so but yeah, I'm uh, very proud to have the opportunity to patronize them, and
Nice.
they've got some other locations here in Mississippi.
Okay.
So one is about an hour away, and I may just run out there just to check it out because they seem to have a little different selection.
Hmm,
So and one of my Cigar Club brothers happens to be the vice president of the chapter here in Mississippi, and he works in that lounge. So
nice.
that's a neat little deal too.
And
So
what's in the ashtray is brought to you by Bullets and Brave. Go check them out, guys. An amazing, amazing company. Again, we only push American companies. We love it. So their link is on our Insta page, on our link tree. Go find them. So that brings us into tonight's topic, our main topic, which is lounge etiquette. Let's talk about lounge etiquette for a minute. So, is it pretentious or is it just plain old common sense? Um, let's have a frank conversation about this because you go to a lounge, and if you're a newbie to a lounge, you may not know some of these things. So this pertains to you guys as well as the seasoned vets who have been in a lounge for a while to see what you guys say. So, if you guys have any information or if you have extra lounge etiquette, please feel free to send it in. Let us know some tips. I may not get them all. We may not come up with them all. But especially for the new guys, take note, please, because your existence in a lounge will go much, much smoother if you kind of stick to these basic, unwritten rules. I mean, it's funny because I say unwritten rules, but I actually went into a
mhm.
lounge, one of the lounge I go to, down in Atlantic City, which is about an hour south of me, has a lounge etiquette, a big wall plaque. I mean, it's a little bit of a joke, but it's not.
Sure,
Posted on their wall. So it's just let's stick with some of these. All right.
for sure.
So first on my list, you walk into a cigar lounge, right?
Mhm.
And your first the first thing you do when you walk into a cigar lounge is find your chair, whatever, and um who brings a cigar case with them? Because I don't bring cigar cases with me. Why? I patronize the lounges I go to, you know? So my first lounge etiquette rule is if you bring cigars with you, do not, unless you pay for the membership and you are allowed to bring outside cigars in, which I know some allow you to if you pay for their membership. Now, like I said, a lot of us, some of us do pay for membership, some of us don't pay for membership. But the first rule is if you're not paying for a membership, um, don't just bring your own cigars. We've all seen that guy that's walked in, kind of sat down, opened his bag and started smoking away, and everybody sits and stares at him and and's like, bro, really? What do you
Yeah.
think about that, Al?
Um. Yeah. I think if they are providing you a place to have peace where you can, especially with all of the non-smoking regs going from city to city and differing in
Yeah,
state to state, they give you a place where you can sit and especially coming out of the winter time, have a nice warm place to enjoy a cigar and a stick.
yeah,
You you need to patronize them. So, and now I have brought my case,
Hmm.
especially like for the episode with Hunter.
Yeah,
And but I purchased three cigars that night, even
true.
though I was smoking a Sir Louis cigar. So
Yeah.
um, if you're going to bring your own, that's fine. Because some
Yeah.
people like to age their cigars. They
Hmm.
don't like to smoke them right out of the humidor. So if you're going to do that, make sure you at least spend some money with the facility or with the brick and mortar, um,
Absolutely.
and help them keep the lights on and the doors open, and
Yeah.
and keep us all having a nice place to enjoy a cigar and some fellowship and camaraderie.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I will, if I bring my own cigars, like I said, I usually don't bring my own cigars, but when I do, I will at least, for every one outside cigar I'll smoke, I'll buy two cigars from them. Because they have to keep
Yeah,
the light, like you said, they have to keep the lights on, they have to keep the water going, they have to keep the electricity going, because these places use a ton of electricity with all like the exhausts and all the filters and all the stuff that they have running. It's not cheap, and they don't make a ton of money from these cigars all the time. Um,
that's
but
right.
if you're gonna bring your own, ask if it's okay. Um, and please don't just sit down and start smoking your own cigars. Patronize them. Buy some cigars. Like I said, I will buy at least two cigars for every one outside cigar I'll smoke. So that to
Yeah,
me is like one of the most important first rules of lounge etiquette is don't just bring your own cigars. It's freaking rude.
that's right. That's
Next,
right.
next I would say you sit down, you've bought your cigars. Um, be courteous. Um, don't just, go in there, be a jerk, act crazy, you know, be courteous to people when you're in the lounge. Um, they don't charge a fee usually to go use the lounge. Um,
Right.
so just don't go in and be a jerk.
That's for sure. And you know, one of the things that's common courtesy for us experienced smokers, but people getting into it may not have their own cutter, or they may have forgotten their cutter. Uh, and I've seen people, they put their cigar in their mouth before they cut it. Don't ever put your cigar in your mouth and then ask somebody to use their cutter.
Yeah.
Um, that, um, I mean, if you're going to ask them to use their cutter or even use a shop cutter,
Yeah.
don't put your mouth on it first, because I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
that's
like,
just gross.
and then
Yeah,
you're gonna use a house cutter. That was actually one of my other ones. Um, don't lick your cigars before you use a house cutter. That's freaking disgusting. And I've seen people do it before, and it's gross.
yeah, and
It's like I don't get it. Like I don't think I've ever licked a cigar. I mean, I don't even think I've licked a cigar before I cut it with my own cutter.
right,
Let alone, I'm one of those guys that's like super germy, like super
right,
germaphobe. So like I if it's not my wife, I won't even like eating food that like somebody has like touched with like another fork that's been in there. Mm-mm. Nope.
right.
Don't lick your cigars and use an outside cutter. All right.
Yes.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? Here's some. All right. I don't want to do this with this cigar. So you get there, you've picked your spot, you've put your stuff down, and now you're going to look for your cigars, right? So you
Mhm.
go into the humidor. First of all, don't smoke in the humidor.
Right,
I refuse to smoke inside the humidor. That's another thing that is a pet peeve of mine. But okay, you're going to look for your cigars. You want to find your cigar, all right? And then so two things I don't do is this, where I'm gonna actually take an old. take an old cigar out of my ashtray and use it for a demonstration here. Don't do this. Do
Oh,
not
yes.
squeeze, do not squeeze cigars that you have not bought. Like, cool, man. If you want to squeeze your cigars, squeeze them after you buy them, but don't pick them off the shelf and just go squeezing them because you'll crack that wrapper.
Yep.
Um, it's just not good. And then the same thing pertains to this. You know, if I do this after I've bought them, but a lot of people will, what they'll do is, in order to get like the notes of the cigar, they'll like put it up to their nose and
Hmm.
sniff the foot. Don't do that if you haven't bought your cigar yet. Please,
Right.
like how gross is it? You're like talking about licking the cigar and using a house cutter, but like shoving it in your nose and like taking a sniff and like, nah, I don't like that, and then putting it back on the shelf. I don't want to
Yeah.
fucking
That's
smoke your booger covered cigar. Go
that's
away with
exactly right.
go away with that. Honestly, that's
Yes.
terrible.
Yeah. And I see guys that just walk around and they're just putting their hands in every box and just touching all of the cigars. I mean, it's one thing to pick up a single stick, examine it.
Like look at it, turn it
Right.
over,
You know, and
maybe like give it like a little bit of a like a
right.
but don't go like squeeze, like you're not
You're not
like
wringing out a sponge.
exactly. Just you can, if it has a tiny bit of give, you're perfect. You're checking for the moisture content. A cigar should have a tiny bit of give. Um And if it has no give, probably dried out. If it has too much give, pretty much you're looking at overhumidified. But like, honestly, don't squeeze them to kill them and don't shove it in your nose. I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
Next, which is another thing that I see people do is I call it cigar snobbery. All right.
Mhm.
So people like what they like, you know? People sit down, people smoke, people's jobs are different. People make different amounts of money. People like to enjoy things, differently. You know, who cares if you sit down with a $5 factory smoke and the guy next to you sits down with like an Opus X Society, which costs $95. All right.
Right.
I don't want to hear the guy smoking the Opus talking about the guy that's smoking the $5 factory smoke. Don't don't fucking do that. That is absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous. Don't criticize other people's cigars. You don't know, you know, maybe that's what he likes to smoke when he's out. Maybe he has
Right.
Opus X Society like back at his house in his humidor. He doesn't like to smoke that stuff out,
Right.
it doesn't make any sense to criticize other people's cigar choices. Like, honestly.
Well, and when I was just starting this journey, that's one of the biggest things I worried about smoking in a lounge. It's like,
Mm-mm.
and and that kind of goes along with what you said earlier about just being courteous and being respectful, coming into the lounge and not being, overly boisterous or, um,
Yeah.
and there are, and it could be an economic situation where that's what they can afford. And, if that's the case, then so be it. But, we've talked before about you can see
Yeah.
CEOs smoking factory smokes. It's
I
not
have seen,
always
yep,
it
absolutely.
it's not always a economic thing, but, you know, the thing is
Of
we're all there to enjoy what we enjoy. And
course.
why do you wanna rob somebody of that? You know? Just be cool. I mean, just like anything else in life, just be cool.
Yeah. Legit. Honestly. I hate seeing people pull the I'm smoking $100 stick card and you're smoking a $5 stick. I don't get it.
Yep.
So what?
You know,
We're all sitting around enjoying a hobby that we love, um,
exactly.
and talking about life. Um, you know, and somebody comes there to escape their day and somebody comes there to relax. What do you need to add stress to somebody's life for by just making fun of their cigar?
Right.
It's ridiculous, honestly.
And I know it happens. I've yet to see it happen in real life. But if I was to witness something like that, I'd have to, step in. I'd have to say something because
Yeah,
there's just no place for that. And um, like I said, that's
yeah,
we're all there to enjoy what we
yeah,
enjoy.
yeah.
Um, and if you're one of those guys, then you have five Opus X societies in your bag and or in your case, and you're like, hey man, have you ever tried one? You know,
Hmm.
that's more of the situations that I've witnessed, and
Yeah,
somebody would
absolutely.
would share that with somebody
Yeah.
who's smoking a factory smoke.
Yep,
Be
absolutely.
be
I do
that
it.
guy.
I am generous. Listen, when people come over my house, um, everybody knows that my bar and my humidor are open to anybody that walks through my doors. I don't care if it's a factory smoke or my, Cubans that I have saving, but, you know, just tell me first. Uh,
Sure,
but
sure.
like I said, my birthday, I actually ran through 2 bottles of pretty expensive bourbon. Why?
Yeah,
Because 'Cause they're my friends and, I love my friends and I'm always willing to share everything, and I've had people share with me.
absolutely.
So, it's all about passing the good juju forward, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, kind of something in that same vein. Um, I was visiting some family in Texas, and so uh, it it it's a stepsister, or I call her my sister, and so her husband works from home, and he came down and goes, "Oh, you're a bourbon guy," and I said, "Yeah, I'm starting, I'm getting into it." He said, well, here, you need to try this. It kind of whips around and puts a Glencairn down and then turns and sets a bottle down on the counter.
Mm.
And he said, pour you some of that. And I said, I really appreciate that. I said, but I don't think I'm ready for that. He said, look, um, and I know I still haven't told you what it is yet, but I said, look, I know how much that bottle costs, and it might be wasted on me.
What
And
is
he
it, a
said, look,
Pappy?
it was a Pappy 15 year.
Pappy 15. It's always a
And
Pappy 15.
and he said, look, he said, what kind of guy would I be if I didn't share and give other people the opportunity to try this? Now, he did say I didn't pay for it. It showed up on my front porch.
Wow. Good for
So
him. I wish I
that's
had that kind of luck.
yeah, you and me both. But I know that on the secondary market, that's a $2,500 bottle of booze.
Mhm.
Um, and I said, well, I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. I will try some. I said, but you pour how much you want me to have. Because I wouldn't want to be the guy that goes, oh, well, yeah, let me, you know. Um, and I get it. I probably won't chase a bottle, but I get it.
All
So,
right.
but yeah, so uh, and that goes to another point. It's just if you bring something into the lounge, be willing to share. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
especially liquor. Um, just because I'm sure there's somebody there that would share with you.
Right. Yeah. No, I always like sharing. Me and my friends pass stuff. I have people like, hey, if you tried this, try that, try this, and you know. It's a really neat community. Like I said, this is one of the coolest communities around there because of how generous and how willing to share people are. So, if you're just getting into the cigar community, honestly, it is one of the most awesomest communities you can be a part of. The generosity of people is amazing in this community. So we we talked about not licking your cigar, then using the house cutter. That was one of my things. The next thing I want to talk about. This really so I know people that do this, even some of my friends do this, and it drives me kind of crazy. So right here, what is that called?
It's an ashtray,
Yeah, it's an ashtray, not a trash tray, right?
right?
I so I hate it when people take the cellophane off, right? And they ditch it in an ashtray that they're going to use to burn their cigar in. I hate that.
Yeah.
Did you just take your cellophane out of your ashtray?
No, I reached for my lighter.
All right. All right. I
Um,
was like, he's like, "Oh man, did I just do that?" So, if
no,
you see, there is nothing inside my ashtray but ashes and butts because um that shit burns and it fucking smells. If you catch a cellophane on fire, it stinks.
yeah,
Stinks.
that's
Yeah. So it's called an ashtray, not a trash tray. So please keep your trash out of the ashtrays. Throw the cellophane in the garbage. Put it on the
yeah,
table. Um, Now for trash, um, brings me to my next one. Treat a lounge that you go to as your as, as if you're going to somebody else's house. So if you bring stuff with you and you bring trash and you end up making trash, do not sit there and leave your trash lying around. That is annoying. Like I don't care, I've seen people bring snacks. I've seen people bring like dinner or food or whatever. Don't like eat a bag of potato chips and then just throw it away, like throw it on on the counter next to you. Find a garbage can, throw it out. This
yeah,
is somebody's place of business. This isn't like your home. Listen, if you do that at your house, cool, keep it at your house. But treat a lounge as if you were going to somebody else's house.
yeah. I've got something similar to that. It's just be a good steward, you know.
Hmm.
And I've noticed that usually the tobacconist that's working, they'll come by and dump the ash out of the ashtray,
All the
things
time.
like that.
All the time.
But and I'll make sure that my butt has gone out before I dump it in the trash. But I'll usually
Hmm.
try to do that too. And just yeah, clean up around you, man.
Yeah.
It's um these guys are there to help make the experience
Yeah.
better. I mean, why make them work harder?
Yeah. Now, my last thing before, I turn it over to see if you have anything is, you said you make sure your butts are out before they dump it and all. But okay, we all know cigars are made of different parts of a cigar. There's different parts of a cigar. We have the wrapper leaf, we have a wrapper, we have a twisted binder, and then in the middle you have the bunched filler, right? And each of those are formulated and put in a cigar in a way where when they burn together, they smell harmonious. It has like a certain aroma to the cigar,
Yes.
And if you've ever been to a blending seminar where you blend, where they have different kind of components in little cigarillos, um, and they tell you, okay, light this now, take a couple puffs, and light this, take a couple puffs, and if you've ever, smelt those individual components burning by themselves, they don't really have a very good smell, right?
Right.
And so when you blend them together, they're meant to have this like harmonious kind of scent. Um, so what I hate, and I've seen people do this, I've even seen people who have smoked for 30, 40 years do this. And this is absolutely one of my biggest pet peeves. Do not snuff out your cigar, right? It's a dead soldier. Just let it go out on its own. Just put it in the ashtray and it'll go out. This
Yeah.
isn't like a cigarette where you see people like, make sure it's out. No, don't do that because it doesn't go out right away. And what happens is the leaves will kind of spread out. You know how it'll spread out, and then all those leaves will kind of catch fire a little bit. And first of all, it creates more smoke if you snuff it out. You create less smoke when you let it just go out, but when you snuff it out, it kind of like opens up the cigar, gets more air into the cigar, and what happens is it catches fire again, and it makes more smoke. Not only does it create more smoke, but it smells horrible.
Yes, I've heard it put is let it die an honorable death.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So, and again, that kind of goes back to being courteous to everybody around you, but also being respectful to the artisan that rolled that cigar. All of the hands, you know, it may sound hokey, but you're disrespecting the guys that harvested the leaves, the guys that, or the people, because it's not just guys out there in the field either. The
Yeah.
people that spend their time and this is their life's work, and they take a lot of pride in the harvesting and the growing of the leaf and the
Yeah.
harvesting and then the fermentation and then the rollers. Man, I I've seen videos. I've never been to a factory or but I have seen rolling demonstrations and the pride people take and the years it takes to hone that craft. You got to kind of show respect to the cigar and everybody that was involved with making it.
Yeah. I agree. So that's kind of like where that's kind of where I'm at. Honestly, uh it's a pretty good general set of rules to follow. Do you have anything to add before we kind of go over our etiquette points again?
Um, well, you know, we've covered a lot of what I had down. Um, but I mean, and one key one is if you're going to spend time in the lounge, smoke a cigar, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um, um, I mean, I'm sure there's people that or go out as a group and you may have 5 out of 6 that are smoking and maybe one doesn't wanna smoke. I mean, that's cool, but this is kind of what, you don't wanna take up space for somebody who, would like to be smoking.
Yeah.
Um, and I wrote this down, don't ask to try somebody's cigar that they're smoking.
I've never even thought about that.
Now, with that being said, if my son and I are out at the lounge and we're smoking different sticks, we may swap just to taste what the other one's smoking. That's my kid. That's different, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and even
A
then
lot different.
I'm still kind of, um, but yeah, the um that's not a good thing to do. And also too, I've got here you know, kind of ask before just jumping into somebody's conversation. Again, that's just being courteous and respectful. But
Hmm.
um, most people are there just to unwind and don't have a problem with it. But you could be interrupting a business meeting or
Hmm.
a bachelor party. Um, they may be pre-gaming to go do some other stuff. So you just it might be something that a small group of guys or people or just
Yeah,
trying to
don't
have
say
a
it's not just guys anymore.
yeah, yeah. I'm getting trying to get better about catching myself there because the female population of the cigar community is growing.
Yep. It is
Um,
actually, I talked with Rick Rodriguez, and Rick Rodriguez said that the female cigar smoking demographic is one of the fastest growing demographics in the cigar community currently.
I can definitely believe that, and you know, so just like I said, just be respectful and courteous. Yeah, like don't force your opinion on somebody else. Um, and and to be mindful of what conversation that you're looking to have.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say that. One of the things that I try to stay away from, unless you know the company you're with
Right.
and you're having a conversation already, just don't bring up politics and religion. That's
Most
kind of like
definitely.
just like one of those, that's like two of those taboo subjects where, unless you're going out with your buddies and you're going to talk about politics, try not to just be like, hey, did you see the press conference today? Blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, we got to deal with
Yeah.
this chucklehead over here. Come on, guys. Let's be reasonable. You know, this is,
Yeah.
politics and religion are two of the most divisive subjects right now.
Yes.
Especially during this during this time where, the Democrats and the Republicans are, at each other's throats. It seems like every day. Um, just don't bring it up, honestly, because,
Yeah.
cigar smokers are men, they're women, they're Democrats, they're Republicans, they're, whatever it may be. You don't need to start, be like, hey, Democrats this and yo, Republicans that. And, you're all there sharing the love of the leaf, and you don't need to ruin somebody's night by, again, it kind of goes in the same hand as, um don't criticize other cigars, don't criticize
Mhm.
anybody else's views, you know what I mean? Because we
Right.
all come from different backgrounds, different upbringings,
Mhm.
and politics and religion are two of those things where kind of it's easy to um get on a divisive subject and then possibly ruin somebody's night. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure. And you know, if you're there to relax and have a good time, that's the opposite. You know what I mean? Especially
Hmm.
if it's divisive. But like you said, if you know the company you're in and you're aware, you can definitely have those discussions within your group. And you
Yeah.
know, and I've often thought about having a Bible study that involves cigars.
Yeah. But
To
again,
call
like I
it
said, that is
that's
pertaining
your
to
audience.
pertaining to your audience. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because, like I said,
Exactly.
not everybody believes the Bible. Not
Right.
everybody follows Christianity.
So,
Again, if you know the company you're in, cool. If that's the aim, cool. If you talk to the owner, be like, hey, I actually have, a Bible study coming in. I'd like to bring a bunch of guys here, smoke cigars, and talk about, our religion. Awesome. Just clear it first. Uh,
right.
like I said, you're not here to ruin anybody's day. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, and to just be be conscious of yes, it's a public place, but it is also a place of business, and you don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the ability of that owner to provide a place to sit and enjoy.
Yeah.
And and the biggest thing is let's focus on the things that bring us together instead of the things that divide us.
Hmm. So what do you think? Do you think we've come up with a pretty good list?
I think that's a pretty comprehensive list. I mean, there's always things that come up that you don't even think about,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think for the most part, if if you kind of do the things on this list, you're gonna have a good night or at least a relaxing time.
Yeah. So, and guys, for you guys watching, if you think we've missed anything, or if you think of stuff that we didn't think about, please leave it in the comments. DM us. We will gladly talk about it. Like I said, we love interacting with you guys. Um, this brings us, we're kind of just gonna wrap up. So let's just go over this real quick. So we have don't bring your own cigars, be courteous, don't squeeze or sniff your cigars, don't criticize anybody else's cigars. Ugh, don't lick your cigars and then use a house cutter. I don't even get that. The
Yeah.
ashtray, not the trash tray. Treat the lounge as if it's somebody's house. Don't snuff your cigar out, and don't talk about any divisive topics. I mean, honestly, um, for you newbies out there, um, we could be talking to seasoned vets. We could talk to newbies as well. This kind of pertains to everybody. We're all just kind of looking to have a great time in a lounge. And if you kind of stick to those rules, you are guaranteed. Well, it depends. If you have a crappy cigar, sometimes it happens, but you are pretty much guaranteed to have a good time. Is there is there anything you want to say to our Gen Pop to kind of kick us out of here?
Well, um, I would kind of like to just do a check in on the cigars that we're smoking. Um,
All
this
right.
uh, this Candela by Bryce is it's fabulous. I haven't smoked a lot of Candelas, but this one is definitely takes the top spot. So, and of course, he's another former veteran that Silent Hero Cigars donates a portion of the proceeds to help veteran charities, especially pertaining to PTSD. Um, so we love to support anybody that's giving back to the community. And again, I'd just like to say I hope you win the battles that you tell nobody about.
Yeah. Uh Cigar's going great. Like I said, it's got really nice earthy leather, uh, coffee, chocolate. Um, it's really nice. It's something I didn't expect. I haven't smoked it before. It's pretty decent. Um, and again, I want to say thank you to um, all the guys that have kind of supported us through our journey starting. The guys at Smoking Sounds. Um, who else? Who else, Al? We got
Um,
the Smoking Sounds guys.
yeah,
Um,
Sean and Justin,
yeah,
uh, the guys over at the Leaf Cutters.
leaf cutters. Again, leaf cutters, thank you, by the way. I did get my ashtray. It's amazing. Um, I have to get tables in my lounge, and your ashtray is going on it. So again, I did receive the ashtray. Thank you so much, guys.
Yes. Uh, Cigars with Angel. He reposts everything we put out. He's been a big supporter of ours. Uh, oh shoot. And we've got some lounge owners coming up in the very near future. We're as guests, so we're looking forward to that. Um, I mean, just we just appreciate any support, any comments, constructive criticism, anything that's going to make the show better or more enjoyable. We're open. So yes, leave us a comment um, on the YouTube page in the comment section, or
Hmm.
the Instagram pages, our individual Instagram pages. And like I said, feel free to DM us. We love interacting with our listeners.
Yeah. So I'm Rob, and over there, that's
I-
Al.
I'm out.
If you don't know us by now, you haven't watched enough shows. So
That's right.
get on watching those back shows. But um, any final words before we sign off?
No, just thank you, everybody. We love you, and tune in.
The one thing I like to say is, we talked about Sanj Patel earlier today, um, and there's something that Sanj always says on his posts, and he says, "Be good and do good." So be good to others, do good for others. This is kind of a shitty world we live in at some points, but you never know if the person you're going to be good to needs that in their life. So be good and do good. So for the lounge life, I'm Rob, that's Al. And remember, always live the lounge life. Peace, guys.